My name is Yves. Again, I feel very privileged to be here for you and share my story with you guys. Yeah, so that's the city in which I was born in, Lubumbashi, which is in the south of Congo. Um, I guess life as a kid, for me, had a wonderful family, mom and dad, four siblings. One of my favorite things to do as a kid was play marbles. I don't know if you play those. I used to collect a bunch of those. Um, that's how life was for us. I loved it. It was great. I couldn't complain. And you guys are familiar with the genocide that happened in Rwanda, and I'm sure you guys experienced some of that. Basically, it was between the Hutus and Tutsis, where over 800,000 Tutsis were killed in over 100 days. And so what happened when the international community, started catching eye on what was going on? A lot of Hutus extremists were pushed into Congo in that region because that's where it happened, and they all went into there to find shelter in Congo, and that's so. What happened is that they started ravaging villages, and just in order to survive, and in order for villages to survive against themselves, rising up armies, and so this thing started turning into something different than anybody thought it would be. Realizing the ground in which they were working upon had a lot of minerals that was worth billions and billions of dollars. And so, it was kind of a ripple effect that started happening all over. Because I grew up there, there was always a lot of trouble wars, and, it's always at the face of a trouble war, but in fact, it was just a mineral war. And I remember coming from school one day, I was, 10 years old, and just coming home, all our windows were broken, there were people that were threatening my parents. There's a lot of details that happened that day. So at the end of it, we just kind of packed up our stuff, and started just going through. We went to Zambia. Zambia is this where we just crossed over because my dad used to do a lot of imports and export business, buying rice and corn and selling it. And used to, whatever was left, you would give out to villages all over that region. So we knew a bunch of people around that region. So that's why we were able to cross over. For those who've been to Africa, if you pay the guys at the border, you take care of them, they'll take care of you. There's that saying. And you look your back, you look after my back, I look after yours when trouble comes to you. Um, so that's how we ended up in Zambia. My first idea was that for us to be there and hopefully the war will end and we'll go back and assess the damage of what had happened. But, the more we read it, the worse things got for us. And I remember we'd spend days at times without food. And that was just, I was 11 at the time, sometimes 3, 4 days. So what my dad will normally do with us, all five of us, the 2-year-old brother and older sister who was 13 as well, 12, 13. So basically he'll set us down on this semicircle, and the third day he'll give us a glass of water. But it doesn't subside the hunger just for a little bit. And you start asking questions like, what are you going to do when you grow up? The kind of question that you have to mom and dad. So we all start bending to mom and dad. I want to be a pilot. I want to be a knight. I want to be this. At that moment in time, it's like, it's so great when your dad approves of your dream, no matter how silly it is. And for a moment, just forget about being hungry, just for that moment. So what happened is that this went on for a year. We started kind of like, we got to figure somehow to survive, what to survive. So my dad met a guy who told him about a refugee program in Malawi, and so we didn't really know what a refugee program was, what a refugee was, and we later told that refugee is somebody who's run away from a war-afflicted country to find refuge in a foreign land. We're like, well, that's pretty much us. So Malawi is over there, so we packed up whatever we had, hitchhiked, however we could get there. We finally got into Malawi a year later, and I remember when we were driving into the refugee camps. We had obviously been interviewed by the UNHCR. We had to tell them our story and so on and so forth. They drove us into these camps. I remember we were just driving, and as we came into the camp, just tens and tens of people. For those who've seen refugee camps, it's just crazy. People from everywhere, from Rwanda, from Somalia, and just really interesting crowd. even the Hutus and Tutsis were still living in the same camp. That was really interesting, actually, to see. Um, I mean, it was, life in the camp wasn't, it's not life. It's people just waiting for war to end in their own countries. It's just so morbid in so many ways. As a 12-year-old, I developed this wild imagination because I had to figure a way to survive in that place. I'm not sure how healthy it was, but it's something that was mine. So one of my favorite things to do was that I used to find open fields, right? I'll just go out by myself, just find open fields and just lie down on my back with my legs and arms spread wide open. I'll just lie down just for hours, just get lost in my thoughts and dreams. Where almost real. It felt so vivid. It was vivid. It was like could almost taste, feel, and smell. Um, you wake up, it's like, oh my gosh, it's already dark, we gotta run back to the camp. And so what we did is that the UNHCR every month would bring truckloads of rice and corn and beans and just stuff that you need to survive, nothing big. And I gotta tell you this story. We had a small tent, right? It's kind of from here to there, all 7 of us here kind of just get in. I mean, we had small spaces. It's like a slumber party, like all of us. Little space every night, It's like, speaking of being in the army, it's like, I'm stuck with these guys, they're stuck with me. That's how it was. That was great though. You bond in ways that you never thought you would. These are friendships that I still carry. I feel if we're not even related by blood, my siblings will still be some of my best friends today. Um, so, we'll line up like that. It's a very humiliating process. People fight for this. People kill each other over this. Sometimes we have to have 3 days because a bunch of people got into a fight and you have to restructure it again. And so we finally get our food. That's how we did it. And so the one time my dad came up to us and he's like, what do you guys think about, going to South Africa? We're like, yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about it. It's like, yes, let's go. But it's like, Dad, we only received food. How do we get out? It was like, okay, this is what we'll do. We'll take half a portion of our meals and just start selling it to the local villages around. I'm like, whoa, what do we eat? I love food. I'm like, I don't know about you. It's one of the things that makes me happy, man. And it's like we just wanted them like, that sucks, but it was worth it. So that's what we did every day. So just taking food and half of what we had, just start selling it and selling it until we had enough money to get out. I just remember we just, this is where we're going. This was our final destination.